So I thought I'd share some tips on how to start a piano career. If you're someone who has been an accompanist or plays piano and wants to be a full time musician but is unsure how to really get going, this should help out. So, if you're a piano person and you want to get into playing, basically the way to do it is start playing at a university. So that means finding a school that doesn't have a staff pianist, which is like sort of a full time person who plays a ton in the department. You could probably go to a smaller school and find a lot of work playing for voice lessons, their choirs, workshops like opera workshop and such, diction class, smaller vocal ensembles. You'll play recitals, you play studio classes, voice and instrumental, and then you'll play student recitals when you're asked to. And sometimes there's little things you play for at the college, like say students are auditioning and they need accompanists, or there's opera auditions. You go and sight read that for an evening or whatever, and get paid for that. Um, Sometimes, like if a voice faculty is auditioning at the college, you will play for the student they are workshopping for their audition. So there's lots of stuff to do at a school, and usually the piano students don't have time to take a whole lot of work as pianists. So, like the school I play at, there's maybe 5 people who play, and then plus a few students who play for a couple voice students. But in general, there's maybe 3 people who play a lot. And split between those 3 people, there's lots of work. The way you would do this is, maybe you take a job working nights or whatever, or find some sort of flexible job that works for you, and then just get in touch with a department and start playing there for voice lessons and whatnot. And over the years, you'll get to be known in the department and be really useful to them. And as people understand that you're a good musician, word will spread and you'll get different jobs around town too. That'll be the weddings, that'll be maybe there's a community choir you play for. Maybe you network by playing your instrument with orchestras. Lots of orchestras use piano players to play harp parts. You can play in community ensembles and network that way. And that can be on piano or your other instrument, or, maybe your primary instrument. And it's just a good way to meet people. So, all of that to say, really the key to starting an accompanying career is to get in at a college and be really useful to them. So I'll tell you what kind of workload I have during the school year, and it's one that lets me basically take a break during the summer, though of course I take some jobs in the summer, like I work at a summer camp. I janitor at the church I play at now, and kind of take odd jobs and just keep myself busy in general. But on the whole, I make enough during the academic year to just hang out during the summer. My workload will be between 20 and 30 voice students, and I play for their lessons every other week. Each student has 3 to 5 songs for the semester. I charge $40 per lesson that I meet with them, and I do 15-minute practices with them for free. So those are the voice students. I play for studio classes on Friday for a number of them, and I charge $40 for each of those also. So that means, some weeks, just the studio classes, like if I play for 12 people, that's $400, right? So like having a lot of voice students is the best way to make money because the repertoire is a lot easier. So those are the voice students. I play for opera workshop, which meets about 6 hours a week, and I charge $25 an hour for that. And then plus there's the performances later on. Let's see, opera workshop. When vocal ensemble is offered, I do that, and that's maybe 4 hours a week. I charge the same, $25 an hour. So that vocal work forms the core of what you do because it's the most dollars per hour that you spend practicing. And some of it you don't need to practice. You can just figure it out when you attend the students' lessons and whatnot. Then vocalists are usually giving recitals here and there, and so I'll have to really learn the music instead of be reading or watering the music that I play, and I take the recitals very seriously because they're important to the students and they're important for my reputation. So I'll spend a lot more time on those, and I charge anywhere north of 120 for a recital. And it usually feels like it's not worth the time that I do it, but it's important work, especially for getting videos for things like grad school auditions and for having a portfolio and that kind of thing. So it lets you get some of the bigger pieces onto your rep list, and I think that's important. Okay, so that's the vocal side. It's largely opera, voice lessons. Sometimes I play for diction classes when students sing in class, and I'll charge less for that, $10 to $20. Okay, my light died, and I'm fine with that. So for instrumental work, I will play sometimes studio classes, but usually it's maybe playing a recital or an audition, like concerto competitions take place. Those are lots of work, but I've taken a couple students, maybe 2 weeks in advance for that kind of thing, and I'll kind of charge a recital rate for that because concertos are quite a lot of pages, but those tend to be reductions, and you can kind of make it up. So depending on the piece, some of them are really, really hairy, but and saxophone music in particular is very hairy. So like with the instrumental stuff, it's a lot more work for the money that you get, and it's a lot less regular because you don't accompany instrumental students all the time. You only accompany them for their big moments like recitals, classes, their jury, so it's a lot more. But again, those are things that are really good to get on your rep list, and you should definitely play those things because you'll grow a lot from playing the instrumental repertoire, and it's fun music. It really is. But I do have some pieces that are on my do not fly list that I don't play anymore because I just can't. So yeah, the instrumental side, you can make some money there and definitely develop a reputation that gets you more gigs. And teachers often reuse or reteach music that you've done before. So like once you learn the Hindemith oboe sonata, or you learn, a Hindemith sonata for flute, once you learn those, you've got them, and you can do those hard pieces again. And sometimes professors, once you've learned a piece, they'll assign it to another student the same semester because they decide, well, you've got it learned, I might as well reassign this, and let's all get our money's worth. But so okay, I would say I only practice like never more than 3 hours a day outside of when I meet with people. So I don't practice a ton, I'm really reasonable about it. I'm not grinding super hard, but yeah, it's like I plan ahead so that things can kind of gestate while I sleep, right? Like the most important thing with practicing is you have time to let the stuff incubate so that it gets kind of baked in, right? Some of my most important techniques for practicing and learning like large quantities of music are doing like aural listening, like playing one measure and listening to what's the actual harmonic content there. And then I also do finger mapping, which is like really noticing when I play this scale along with this chord, noticing which finger plays with that chord at what time. And just spending plenty of time with small cells of music that are 2 beats long to really understand them instead of be reading them. And one way you can do that is just memorize things once. Just memorize it once. And that will make sure you've really learned which notes are repeating, what the harmonic content is. You have truly absorbed it if you have it memorized. So very important. You don't have to be the best piano player to be a collaborative pianist. A lot of the vocal stuff is quite easy music, and you don't have to play every note that's there because you're not a concert pianist. You're a collaborator. So what's more important than playing perfectly is that you're really good at rehearsing gently with people, kind of like reading them and seeing whether they want to take the lead or if they want you to sort of take the lead, especially with younger students. You kind of guide them through the learning process. You'll have people who are freaking out and you help calm them down before a performance. You'll have some people who like to chat in the green room and it makes them feel a lot more comfortable. Like people really appreciate if you help them feel calm for a performance. And a big part of doing piano is, do you come across as confident so that they're not worried about you? Like, are you a great supporter of their music? When they skip an entrance or jump in early, do you just adjust to them? Do you feel their tempo so that you're playing exactly what makes them feel comfortable? That's the kind of stuff that really sells what you do. It's not, half the time they don't even notice if you don't play every note or if you're watering or changing things. It's more important that you collaborate well. That's the main thing. And that's some of my favorite things I hear from people will be like high school choir directors saying, I feel so, like, I don't feel worried about my piano player when you're up there. And that's such a good thing when I have to deal with doing a concert. So yeah, providing that is really where it's at. So because of the volume of music that you learn, your skills at learning music will get better, and you will just get better at as a piano player because of how much music you learn. It's the only way to get better. And it's a fantastic way to teach you how to improve your workflow and get the reps in that make you a great performer. So last comments I'll make. To perform well, it's important that you have like an air of confidence. Like if you've been around good musicians at concerts, they sort of carry themselves a certain way where it's like they know they're good at this. There's a way they stand and a way they handle themselves, and they don't act like it's a high stakes thing. I also think being willing to think of it as not needing to play perfect to be a successful musician, but like to base your judgment of your performance on how you felt during it. Did you go out there and sort of like do that good job of carrying yourself? And then this is hard to describe, but instead of like micromanaging everything, did you just try to play with good tone and timing and with good confidence and make it more about how did you feel out there psychologically? And that generally produces a better performance. So two more tips I forgot to mention are that using Venmo is really handy because it's convenient for people, but also Venmo has basically invoices that you can export. So like you can export an invoice with every dollar you made, and you can use that for taxes, or if you need to submit pay stubs or whatever for something. That's really handy. So just use Venmo. People like that. And then also Google Calendar, with one instance of this, you can set up an appointment scheduler, and it's pretty neat because you can send this link to people, and instead of emailing back and forth about what times you're available, you can just have them sign up whenever they feel like it, and the things that are already in your schedule will prevent them from signing up at that time. So that's really handy, saving time. Like instead of emailing back and forth with all sorts of 30, 40 people, you can just do this. Okay, I think that basically exhausts what I have to say about collaborative piano. And if you have any questions about how to get started, I'd be happy to answer. But I just wanted to reflect a little bit on what I'm doing, because at this point, I think I've found my career, and that's been a long time coming. And I've just realized I really enjoy the practice time and the people I see and the things I've been able to accomplish in it, the things I go out and play with confidence. Like that's all been really rewarding. Okay, I think that's about it.